I dropped my camera. Hey everyone, welcome to Keep Shooting Monday, number 105. My name is Greg Cazillo from Cazillo.com. In a bit, I will tell you the story of what happened when I dropped my camera right after the show last week. And so I was really pissed, but also really glad. So I'll get into that in just a little bit. First thing, I really wanted to talk about the PhotoPlus Expo. I was there on Saturday. And I went up Saturday. I actually got up at 4 a.m. and I left the house by 5, and I was in Trenton at the train station by 6:30, and then I was up at in New York. I guess it was about 8:30, something like that, 8:45, whatever, when I was finally at the Expo Center. And so I had a little bit of time to kind of browse the web and just kind of get set up, that kind of thing. Some general overviews of the show. I was surprised that it wasn't busier. I just couldn't believe that there just weren't not very many people there, attendees that is. The event itself is probably average as far as the companies, although I did notice a bunch of new faces as far as companies that were there that I didn't remember seeing before. I mean, I've been going to the show for 10 years or maybe more every single year, and it definitely seems like it's been getting smaller year over year, but I do think there were a few new companies and new faces there, which is good. And it's also funny to see some of the same companies that I've been working with year after year, as far as promotion. I don't want to call them out, but they seem to have new faces in there at the show every single year. And so that was interesting, say, hey, yeah, I've been working with you guys for 5 years and doing some stuff with you, and who are you again? I've never saw you before. Oh, you're the sales guy. Okay. So that was interesting. As far as videos, I got some excellent videos. 2 of them with Epson, one of them with Eddie Murphy talking about the new P800 and P400 printers. They're going to be sending over one of the P800s, so I'll have a review of that coming up very soon. And also about their new legacy papers. I got some tips for framing and printing in general, both from Eddie and also from Jeff about the regards to the new papers and framing with any of their Epson papers. The legacy Baryta is one of the new ones. Legacy fiber, etching, and Plantine. 4 of their new really high-end legacy papers, archival, acid-free, really great feeling papers. They gave me the sample pack. I'm going to try it out and see what I like. The thing about different papers is, and this is something that I mentioned in the video, I think I mentioned this in the video, I'm a big fan of not always printing on the same paper. Granted, I love a luster paper, and I do print the majority of my stuff on a luster paper, especially if it's retail. But I still will switch papers and do different things depending on what I'm thinking and what I like and what that particular image I think needs in order to make it look good. So, it's definitely something that I take into consideration when I am doing the printing. And so I think you guys should do that too. The way you edit a photo might be a little bit different. You're not going to do it every single time. You might have a style, but you might, switch some things up. And if you're doing printing, you should probably consider doing the same thing. Another thing, I do like the creative freedom when it comes to having my own printer here in the studio. Obviously, I'm lucky with the 24-inch 7800 Epson printer that's here. Maybe they're going to be working on a nicer one coming up soon. I'm hoping that that's going to happen. Besides the P800 that they're going to send over, because that's a 17-inch printer, and the P400 is a 13-inch printer. Anyway, we'll see if it's nice having that that creativity to kind of do whatever you want and test new things out, and you know, go up and down. Because I found that if when you order from a lab, you end up just ordering on that same paper every time, maybe because of cost or one thing or another, or you just maybe you forget to check the box to change it, or you don't know how it's going to look. Whereas when you get sample packs and you do things, it's just one more level of creativity, I think, that that allows you to really do whatever you want to do and how you want to do it from beginning to end. You know, from your camera choice to your lens choice, to the way you edited it, and the program that you edit it with, and then with your output in the printing. And I truly, you know, you'd asked me this 10 years ago, I'd have said no, just send it all to a lab and be done with it. But now that I have that creative freedom, it really is a nice option. And it's not difficult to get into it. You know, you can get the P400 entry-level printer for, I think it was $4.99 or $5.99. That's not an expensive printer, that's not difficult to get into. And then if you wanted to step up to the 17-inch printer, I think that was $8.99. Don't quote me on that. I'll check on those prices for you. So they're you know, it's not a super expensive thing to do. It will take a little bit of time, a little bit of investment to understand how the process works, from your printer profiles and the print dialog box, that kind of thing. But all of that stuff will come pretty quickly and pretty naturally. By the way, I also wanted to mention, as far as Epson is concerned, and another partner that I'm working with, Datacolor, with their Spider line of calibration devices. Epson and I are working on a project which is going to be all about printing. I'm actually going to expand the Photo Academy kind of realm and brand into not only the general photography one that I've already started, which the next one is super close. I'm like 95% done. I'm still adding some tiny little bits and pieces to it. That's why today's show is actually going to be a little bit shorter. But what was the other thing I was going to mention? So I'm going to do the general photography. There's going to be a complete one on printing from beginning to end, from opening up, unboxing, sitting it down, setting it up, care, all those things, all the way to printing out of Photoshop, printing out of Lightroom, you know, and then talking about papers, talking about paper, you know, cutting, and maybe we can even get into framing, that kind of thing, and kind of print finishing. All of those things I think are super important. So that's going to be a whole other kind of series and kind of like a class kind of thing that I'm going to do. Scanning is another one that I'm definitely going to be doing. And then calibration. Datacolor is working with me on getting me another one of their Spider 5s. And so we're going to be calibrating my monitors, going to be calibrating the printer, we're going to be calibrating the scanner. Actually, I already got LaserSoft is another company that's doing some sponsoring with me, and obviously Epson with the V850 scanner that they sent. And so they sent me some of their targets for their Silverfast software in order to be able to calibrate the scanner. So that's important. So calibrating all these tools. Oh, and the other thing, just last night, this is actually fresh in my mind. Just last night, I had a session here in the studio, and it was a portrait session. They have a 2 or 3 month old boy, and so they wanted to get their first photos done with him. And so it was nice to have a calibrated projector, the image up on the screen. And so I'm definitely going to talk about that presentation kind of aspect of it. And it just makes it wonderful to be able to just take those, throw them right up on a screen rather than a tiny little monitor. Keep my big monitors here. And I'm telling you right now, it definitely makes a difference for sales. If you guys are selling your prints, if you're not hobbyists, if you're pros or part-time professionals, having that space or having that projector set up, it is totally worth the investment. Once again, hoping to be able to work with Epson on another project that talk a little bit about photography sales, that kind of thing. And I think that that'd be interesting to have the projector set up, and I'm going to get one of their new screens. So yeah, it's going to be a really good partnership with a lot of new stuff coming up in the coming months. I was hoping to be able to do them one after another, one a week, one Keep Shooting Monday and one Photo Academy. but I just don't know if I'm going to be able to keep up with my other workload that's going on right now. So, I'll post them as quickly as I can, because as of right now, I am just a one-man machine. Right now it's just me in the studio, nobody else here. And, I set up the camera and I set up the lights, and, I do the editing and the posting. So it's me, myself, and I right now. So it's going to depend on other workload and other things that are going on as far as how quickly stuff gets out. So bear with me. I promise it's coming. I'm really going to keep pushing it, and I hope you guys are going to enjoy it, and keep watching and click on the ads sometimes, because that helps a little bit too. The rest of the show, rest of the PPE, I did some other interviews. One with Manfrotto about their new Director, which is the first official device that allows you to tether your camera, Canon or Nikon, to an iPad Air 2 or iPad Air. It connects via the Lightning connector. It actually has a mount for the iPad. It holds the iPad, and it connects right to the USB port on the camera. I can't wait to play with one of these. They have a demo unit. They're working on sending me one of those, and this thing is going to be awesome. I think I'm not going to want to send it back once I get it, and that's going to be a problem, because right now, for example, I'll have to take a picture of it and send it to you. I actually have my camera set up, and then I have my wireless mic, and I have my field recorder, and then I bought a small little iCan monitor, the little 7-inch monitor, so it makes it easier to frame myself. So, for example, it just makes it quicker, you know what I mean? So I can see myself, I can see what I'm doing. It's just off the camera shot, so it's not too far away, and I can kind of check things, make sure it's still recording, that kind of thing. And it's just nice to be able to do that, whereas if I had that iPad app, it's going to be a lot smarter, do a lot more things. I might like sit it right here just out of the camera shot to be able to kind of touch it and feel it rather than that monitor. It's all an option. So I need to figure all that stuff out and figure out what I'm going to do and how I'm going to handle it. But yeah, it's interesting. It's very, very, it's definitely an interesting product. And $4.99, once again, not a super terrible price. And so it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I can't wait to play with that product, and hopefully they send it over soon. I'll get a review out. We talked about the show in general. Oh, and I also talked to Cazillo about their line of tripods. The more I played with those tripods, man, after my interview, the more I'm like, all right, it might be time to really step up to the real man's tripod. You know what I mean? The top of the line one. And the cool thing about it is I can do video and stills with it, where I can kind of go, I can buy the parts and pieces for it to make it a video tripod with a bowl, so that you can get it a tripod level very easily. Whereas with a three-way head, it's a lot more difficult. And then obviously put a video head, a smooth head on the top of that to make it easy. But we'll see. We need to see what the budget allows in order to be able to do that. So we'll see. So I have 2 questions today. Oh, I need to get back. I dropped my camera last week. I was so freaking pissed off when this happened. It was just after the show last week, and I had the softbox in my hand, and it bumped into the tripod, and the tripod, wham, I was so pissed. Well, I walked over, I picked it up, and as always, as I've preached for years and years, I had my hood on. Well, this is the second time that this hood has saved my 24-70 lens from getting destroyed and the camera from getting destroyed. Because what happened is this hood ended up breaking. It was $30 or $35 to replace it. I ordered one from Amazon and got it in before the show, so it was good. It still kind of fit on, but it wasn't perfect. What ended up happening is these tiny little pieces of the part where it goes into the hood or into the mount, and there's my phone that's ringing, into the mount, ended up breaking, which when that broke, that took all of the force out of the fall, and so what? It's either a $35 hood or whatever the cost was, or $1,500 lens. I'll take the hood any day for that. So that was cheap insurance. So watch this video that I had done quite some time ago, which was about camera protection, where I talked about having your hood on there. And so really important, please, please, please use your hood. Buy a solid hood. Don't buy one of those rubber ones that gives you no protection. Another one. Filters. I hate filters. I never use a filter on my lens unless it's like a circular polarizer, a neutral density, or something like that. I never put a UV on. I have a stack of filters like this high at home. They just sit there and collect dust. I never use them. I can't see taking a $50 cheapo filter and putting it on my $2,000, $3,000, $6,000 piece of glass. It's just stupid. You bought the quality of the glass, you want that quality, but then you take a piece of crappy glass, put it in front, and you try and take all your pictures through it. It's not going to be good. It's not going to make better photos. You think, oh, I need it just in case. Well, that's what the hood's for. That's what this thing is for. You put the hood on the lens. You don't walk around taking pictures with the hood reversed. That's not what it's for. It's to be put on there straight. Not only does it protect it from stray light coming in, it also protects it from banging into stuff and from people poking at it, whatever. You bang into it. If you would have had a filter on there, if I'd had just a filter on there and no hood, I highly doubt that would have saved the lens or saved the camera. Probably the whole thing probably would have been junk, because that lens, that filter is still mounted directly on the front of that, and so it still would have damaged something. Whereas when that hood hit, it actually took some of that force away, kind of like the crumple zones in your car. It's made the crumple and take some of that force out of the collision. It's the same thing with this hood, and so what? It cracked a $30 hood, big deal. And so I ended up buying another one, and it worked out fine. So yeah, I got lucky. I got really lucky. So I have 2 Cazillion questions, and then we'll get out of here. I can see a lot of your photos have shadow on the face. What would you do with that? Did you delete them? As it will be very hard, isn't it, to Photoshop them? Lisa was talking about my photographing children video, and yes, some of them are very heavily backlit. In general, shadows are good on the face because you want to show more dimension. Just like right here in this shot, you can see there's shadow on the side of the face. I actually have a reflector just out of camera shot here, and I can move it. Maybe you can see the light change a little bit. And then I have my softbox there, and that's the only light besides these little LEDs that I have behind my monitors. That's it, just one softbox there. Anyway, shadows in general are good. I've actually had a lot of clients ask me, well, why is that shadow there? Do I really need it? And then I show them and like, oh wow, yeah, that does flatten it. You don't want the light to be flat and even and boring, and you don't want to be always have your flash on and again cutting out all those shadows on the face, because they're good. They make the image more interesting, and they make the person more interesting looking. So in general, it really depends on what I'm going for. If it's a more artistic look, maybe I'll brighten it to blow out the background even more. Usually I won't just like edit just the face and just brighten the face. That's just not me. It's not my style. You probably could if you wanted to, but definitely not me, not my style. Do you host your own images? Do you know of a free or inexpensive image hosting site that will allow me to just have the bride and groom be able to view my proofs? As of now, I am just making private albums via Facebook. Thanks for your question, Justin. I am very particular about my images that go up on the web, especially if it's a wedding or a portrait client. I typically try not to put any images up on the web at all. If a client asks me specifically about it and that they want a CD, I'll usually only give them a low-res set of images, and they'll be watermarked, that kind of thing, because I'm just very particular about them. I never sell any kind of high-res images. Even those ones that I give out are probably only going to be, 500-600 pixels. They're going to be pretty tiny. They're not going to be able to print or do anything with them. And then, the watermark, all that. So if I do need to put them up on the web, I have a couple of different applications that I use, and yes, they're all either they're a proprietary thing that I've created myself, or I had one of my developers create for me, or they're a system that an open source system. You can use Coppermine, you can use Gallery 3, which is another one that's out there. There's also systems for WordPress and Joomla, which are content management system sites, or CMSs, content management systems that will allow you to host your images on there in a certain gallery that's closed, all that stuff, and give them a username and a password. Personally, I wouldn't be a fan of just putting them up on Facebook, that kind of thing, as that private gallery. I definitely would not do that myself. You know, if the people wanted to, fine. And I do require them to, when they do post them up there on Facebook, to, if they do, from those high-res images that I give them, I'll make sure that they do credit me on those photos when they post them. So that's just a requirement that I do. So anyway, yes, you can check out Gallery, you can check out Coppermine, and you can check out some additional components or plugins for Joomla or for WordPress. And I host all of my sites on Amazon Web Services, and I also, just to make my hosting a little bit cheaper and a little bit faster at the same time, I use their S3 service, which will make the delivery of those images much faster for a number of different reasons, technical reasons that I'm not going to get into. It's beyond the scope of this video. But great application, you know, great service, Amazon Web Services. And it's also super inexpensive. You can actually host your own website for free for the first year, which is awesome. So, you know, and after that, you're probably going to spend $10 a month or so for a single server and some images up on S3. It's going to cost you next to nothing. So it's totally worth it. There is a learning curve, but it's a great way to go, especially if you're just doing your own site. So I think that is it for today's show. Keep Shooting Monday, number 105. Photo Academy, the next lesson on autofocus is coming up this week. And I'm also going to be editing up all of the videos that I shot over at PPE. Thanks, guys. Keep shooting. See you.